stars, this is Gwendolyn. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if it's your first time. This video is going to be about personality number 7 in a series of 9 videos on the different personality numbers. So this video is, if you haven't already calculated your personality number, I show how to do that in a video that I'll put a link to right here. And that'll show you how to calculate that. It's basically adding your month and your day that you were born together. And personality 7 are people who, if we went from 6, which is concerned with community and the hive and kinship, and people they consider in their group or their tribe, then 7 separates off from the community, separates off from the tribe, separates off from the group of friends and family. And 7 represents the guru or the disciple, the person who goes off into the mountains in search of truth with a capital T. So the 7s are considered the mystics, they're considered the disciples, they're considered the spiritualists, the grand students, and the students of truth with a capital T, whatever that may mean to you. So 7s are really interested in getting to the heart of the matter. They basically strip away everything that's external. They don't really care too much about idle gossip or social dramas or anything like that. And 7s usually make pretty great listeners. Sometimes they can be perceived as wallflowers that are shrinking into the background because they can tend to be reticent or quiet because they're too busy listening. And so a 7 personality often has their focus on the spiritual realms. So they may sometimes also appear as not being fully present or fully here on earth. Sometimes they can be perceived as not being really grounded, but they have a lot of Neptune energy to them, which gives them this mystical, spiritual nature, and it kind of corresponds with the Hermit card in the tarot. So they are those who are willing to separate themselves off, go either into the inner world to look at truths and inner truths, or separate themselves off from community and society to really look at what is true. So they can be considered philosophers. They're willing to work hard to study and learn about what's true. They'll often compare different cultures and look to see what's common, similar to what a 9 will do. Those are the peacemakers, and we'll talk about them soon. But the 7 is usually quiet and reflective in nature and really wants to get to the bottom of things. So 7s have a great spiritual nature to them. They do well with reading spiritual texts. You'll often find 7s in the libraries or studying on their own, or sometimes they find a subject that they become very passionate about and dedicate themselves to it. So 7s can be very dedicated in terms of students, especially if the material or subject has something to do with spirituality. So often the 7s can be considered the ascetics, and those who are like monk-like and strip themselves away of any external trappings. They can sometimes appear very Spartan. They're not really showy people generally by nature. They're usually a little bit more reflective and introspective, and they do well in studying things that are kind of other worlds. So the low side of the 7 is showing up as an isolationist, feeling like a hermit, feeling like kind of like with the 1 personality that no one else understands you, or even just feeling like you're not really of this world. So, but the high side of the 7 is access to greater spiritual knowledge, being disciplined, being, a student of life and of the truth. So if you have a friend who's a 7, they're generally pretty good listeners, and they have a focus, always sort of one eye on the spiritual world if they're not completely enveloped in that. So enjoy that if you're a 7 personality. And then next up we have the 8 personality, and as always I just want to say thanks for watching. Yours in the stars.